Feeling lost in the maze of CPS? Desperate to get your child back? You're not alone. Countless parents face the heart-wrenching reality of family separation. The legal system can be overwhelming, but there's hope.
Now, here's the key. Faith, that's how you win a 6-month hearing.
Thank you.
If you do all of those things, you're going to blow your social worker's mind, you're going to blow your attorney's mind, and you're going to blow away the judge.
With attorney Vincent W. Davis, a dedicated legal expert with 39 years of experience, committed to helping families like yours. Join his weekly live Q&A on Zoom, where you can ask your burning questions about CPS cases. Get the knowledge and strategies you need to fight for your child's return.
Alrighty, good evening everyone. This is a question and answer session for school, SKOOL, and this is the CPS school.
Are you ready to take control of your family's future? Join our school community for free to access weekly live Q&A sessions, or participate as a one-time guest. Don't let fear hold you back. Take the first step towards reuniting your family. Join us now.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm here to fight CPS and save our children, to get back our children, to hang on to our children. You've reached the right place. Let me put my mouse over there. Anyway, I'm glad you found me. You just heard from Vincent Davis, and Vincent Davis is my attorney, and he just gave a brief message about his upcoming question and answers podcast this morning, right after my podcast. I'm trying to it's there. So anyway, I have been involved in CPS, been fighting them for 15 years. I'm not an attorney. I'm a family man. I've been married for over 42 years. I have 6 children, and 3 olders and 3 youngers. And it's the young ones that were taken from me in 2015. In 2010, I started experiencing CPS, and for 5 years, they're constantly receiving complaints from lay people who I didn't know at the time were my in-laws. My wife's mother, father, 3 sisters, and a brother were calling from Ohio to California and saying we weren't taking care of our kids. It was shortly after I lost my job through no fault of my own. I was age 60, and it was really hard. I'd already worked 45 years, and instead of them being supportive of us, they never have been for 30-some years. They didn't come to our wedding. They always tried to take our kids and undermine our family. It's sad that lay people are like that. So you got to be careful out there. You got to be careful out there. You have to be really careful out there. But anyway, there are 4 ways you can interact with this podcast. One of the first ways is just by joining this room. I'm glad that you're here. And you can show emojis, smiley faces, thumbs up, hearts. You can also check below the follow button and the notification button too. And also you can send hearts and take good notes. A second way is to text me a message, either a comment or a question about CPS. Please show your first name and your city or county you're from and your state. And if you're from another country, your country too, because there are countries that experience the same problem. I have over 18 countries that are heard from. 2 of them actually called me in. South Africa and Mexico City called me in. being called on the show. And so I have Bangladesh and India, Middle East, there's 3 or 4 countries there. Africa, there's 5 countries there. And Europe, there's 6 countries there. Across the pond, North America, there's a couple countries there. And South America, there's a couple countries there. Then I have the Pacific, New Zealand, Australia. So those are the people that do contact. I want to help them out. You guys, you're my family now, so you can join me as my family. Now, please be complete with your case. Tell me as much as you can about your case. That helps me a lot to understand. Now, if you want to be a guest on my podcast, please join me. All you have to do is write in my show producer, Grace at VincentWDavis.com. Grace at VincentWDavis.com. And she will gladly put you on. All you need to do is pick one of my 14 show times during the week. I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day. I've not missed a day. And I've been on holidays. I've spent my Thanksgiving with you and Christmas with you and New Year's. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. You guys are my family. So I really appreciate you with your comments and what you say and everything. I do try to help you. Now, her email is grace at vincentwdavis.com. Grace at vincentwdavis.com. And the last way, the fourth way, is you can call me at my number, 626-698-0990. And that will reach me. I use Vonage as the application on my phone. And so I do like to have call-ins. Now, whether you are calling in and speaking live on the show or you're a guest, you're entitled to 2 15-minute sessions with Mr. Davis. He is a family juvenile dependency lawyer background, and he's been fighting CPS for 39 years. He knows it. He's also done civil lawsuits, both federal and state courses, and won millions of dollars. After your case is closed, you can also do civil lawsuits. So that's something else to think about, because they violated your constitution or civil rights, which it did in my case. In fact, the social worker for me was caught lying on the stand. She committed perjury, and we could go after her, but I can't afford the retainer to start the case. So with that being said, it is tough. It is so tough out there. Now, I have 5 rules, and very quickly I go through them. 1, you need to get an attorney, and I don't mean a court-appointed attorney. 2, you need to do your paperwork, organize it. 3, you got to not let people in your home. No to social workers, no to police. Do not talk to them. Do not let them take your child. And I'll talk more about that. Also, watch out the medical trafficking, where you come in the hospital and you got your children are very sick with a high fever. So you got into urgent care or emergency room. Be careful. Social workers work there. CPS does there, and they'll end up taking your child or try to con you to give up your child. And they do this primarily for money. It's a $1 trillion business. It's all about money. Also, if you're having a baby, same thing. Be careful. They want to take your baby. They want to get them into foster care so they get trillions of dollars. They have incentive. When President Clinton signed the incentive law in 1997, it further stated that the child protection system, the social system there, will get additional money for putting children into foster care. They're undermining family reunification, which is sad. My rule number 4 is to research the internet and the format to do that. And my rule number 5 is gather up all your documents, make copies, and have them at one place. I can talk more later about that. Just want to go over my 5 rules and my 4 ways of how to react with this podcast. So my phone number will stay up. And remember, if you talk on my show, either as a guest or on the phone, you're entitled to 15 minutes of consultation time with Mr. Davis. And so that's something to think about. So try to call in or be on my show. Now, I have another way you can talk to Mr. Davis for 30 minutes, and it's only $60. I made a special arrangement that you can reach him on a website and pay your $60 and then reserve a time with him. So that's good. And if you want to hire Mr. Davis, you already have your mind made up. Our office is 888-888-6582. Don't be confused with my number, 626-698-0990. When you call on the 888-888-6582 number, make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. And when you speak to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. So that's the way that you get a hold of Mr. Davis. As I said, you have a live podcast today, Saturday at 9:30. So right after my podcast at 9, you'll be going over there. Now, another thing too I'd like to address with you is that if there's anything you need to know, I will gladly try to help you find it. I research it. I do help out people that have questions. As I say, I've been listening to over 700 people on here in all the 50 states, including Washington, D.C. As I say, I have 18 countries, and a lot of people give me a lot of good advice, and so I share it with you all. And when you're in the room, you can help each other. There's some regular people in there. Special prayers go out to Faye Manley, who was recently in the hospital with pneumonia, double pneumonia. She was really sick. She is a single mother, has a child, a special needs child, a boy, that she's trying to get guardianship of. But she was in and out of foster care as a small child and as a youth and as a teenager. And she was raped and molested and sexual trafficking. She did the whole thing. And then as soon as she had her children, they went after her children. She had a daughter that her mother was trying to take from her because she wanted the money. It's all about money. It's so bad. It's so corrupt. It's all about money. It's all about money. Now, I know it's early in the morning, and this is not my typical time. I'm usually on it at 10, but this is a special time to give a chance for Mr. Davis in his podcast. So anyway, the phone is open, and I'm waiting for any kind of comments or texts in there. I can talk to you more about the rules. When I said you need to get an attorney, I'm talking about a real attorney, a dependency lawyer, a lawyer that's trained in juvenile and family matters with dependency law. That's who you need. So when you're out there shopping for an attorney, you should ask them 2 questions. 1, are you a juvenile family dependency lawyer who has fought with CPS and gotten children back? If the answer is yes, then ask the second question. Have you ever fought CPS in a civil suit, either in state or federal court, and won money? If the answer is yes, again, you found yourself an attorney. You should try to get 3 quotes. 3 quotes. I always a rule of 3 when I want to find a price of something. So get 3 quotes and compare them and weigh the pros and cons. Now, I've told you about one of those, Vincent Davis. All you have to do, if you want to talk to him, is be on my show as a guest or call in. It's really simple. It's 1, 2, 3. But anyway, I stress the importance of, because the court-appointed attorney or the public defender is somebody that is only trained in legal law, meaning criminal law, and they just don't want to fight because their caseload is 30 or more clients. They don't have time. They won't meet you. They only meet you at the hearing. So you can't even invite them to your home or talk to them or go to their office because they're just really, and they won't fight. They go the easy way out because they're friends with CPS. They have golf together. They eat together. So that's something you have to be careful about CPS. You have to be really careful about them. You can't trust them. They're not transparent. You're like Alice in Wonderland when you work with them. You know, Alice in Wonderland, you find the rabbit hole, you fall in, and all of a sudden you meet the Cheshire cat who turns you on to room after room that go nowhere. That's what CPS is. And fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. You need someone trained who knows how to do that. Open heart surgery is serious. So is CPS. They can terminate your rights, they can railroad you, and they do, all for the sake of money. All for the sake of money. So anyway, my rule number 1 is get that attorney. I pretty much talked about that. Rule 2, I said, was your paperwork. That's where you want to have all your documents in one place. You want to put them in a notebook. I was trying to have them on an envelope, in my day runner, on my phone, on my computer. You don't want to. You want one place, and you want to load that notebook with subject dividers and college rule notebook paper, and you want to take a lot of notes and a lot of different headings. One of the most important forms you need to fill out there will be the time log incident. As you have each instance, whether they're from police or CPS or families or where they are, you're going to make a log of that. What it is, every time you talk to a police or you talk to a social worker or the school administration or any other kind of person, you want to log that in, because you won't remember that conversation 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. So you want to load that in, and you want to protect yourself, because CPS is not friendly. They will not help you. They're not protecting yourself. So on the first line, you put down the date, the time, the location, and the people involved. The second line, you make a summary of a sentence of what the incident's about. The third line is the outcome. You make a summary of the outcome. And so thus all you have to do for each of those instances. So you have 3, and then you skip and put your next one, and then you skip and put your next one. Try to have spaces between each incident. And then on top of that, the incident form will come in so handy, because a year from now you won't remember everything. So you can look at that. You can look at that. Also put in your court documents, your parent classes certificates, your program certificates, any medical reports. You put all the information in there so it's readily available. The rule 3 I mentioned to you, but you don't go in the house. You do not go in the house. What I mean by that, the police don't go in your house, and the social workers don't. You don't answer the door. You never know who's at that door. I do with my family and friends. I have a special knock that tells me that's someone at my door. But other than that, I don't let anybody in my door. Too many people have been shot and killed opening the door. It's a very tragic event. And then, a lot of us have a tendency to write down everything that we say. So anyway, you don't want to let them in the house. You don't see, they're going to look for permission, and permission can come from you or a family member. You got to instruct your family not to open the door too. Because in order for them to take your child, they got to get your permission or access to your home. And then they have to also have started finding out everything there is about CPS. It's a really sad thing, because what I do, if you encounter the social worker, the door knocks, I don't answer it. I move to a safer part of the house, and I instruct my family members not to answer it. And if I'm outside and encounter a social worker, then, I'll be cordial, be nice to them. But I'd say, in order for me to talk any further, you have to meet my attorney. So I give that to the person trying to follow my case. Also, When you tell them that you need to have your attorney present, that's a good timeout. That's a good timeout. You don't want to meet at their office or have a meeting in your home. Where you want to meet is a safe place like McDonald's or Starbucks. That way you can videotape and take it because you're outside. Now, if you happen to see them, as I say, be cordial and nice to them, but the only other way they can get in your house or talk to you is a warrant. They have to serve you a warrant. It's a court-ordered document that the police or the social worker went to the judge and says, whatever thing they fabricate, they need a warrant. But you have to be careful because CPS is lazy. They use old warrants with expired dates and different parties and white out things. So you got to make sure it's legit. One way to tell that a warrant's legit is there should be a wet signature that is raised up and still part of the raised stamp. There's a special stamp that goes on them. Those warrants can also have wrong dates, not the correct location, not the list of the parties involved, and so forth. You see, CPS is supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse. They're supposed to do that. They're also supposed to help you in need of food and shelter and clothing and transportation and medical and educational and even help you find a job. That's what they're trained to do. That's what they're supposed to be doing. And sometimes you got to press them hard for that. Because right now the kids are being trafficked into foster care. The RB trafficking, which is really, really sad. It really is. Now, on that medical thing, they hide out. They'll take it. Remember, they got to have a warrant. They cannot take your child at birth unless they have a warrant. And if you're at the hospital, pre-plan ahead the list of people that can enter it. Don't list the CPS or the policeman on that list. They can wait out in the lobby. They need a warrant. So that's my rule number 3. 4, as I mentioned earlier, was about working on the internet. There's so much to find in there, but it's how you phrase your questions. Start off with your city, and if it's a small city, you want to put a comma and put a large city, whatever's closest by. And then after that, now this internet is a gold mine. So you start off with that city, and it's a small city like Athens, Georgia. You put Athens, comma, Atlanta, Georgia. Then put the big letters, capitalized, CPS, and you'll see how much stuff will pop up. If you want to further narrow it down, put down the topic you're looking for, the manual and operation procedures, how to change a judge, how to change an attorney, those kinds of things. So there's a lot you can do, and you need to spend 60 to 70 hours on that of peer research. You just need to do that. It will help you in the long run. So after you find the information, put it in your notebook. That will come in handy. And the 5th way of helping you with your case is to make copies of all your important documents: birth certificates, driver's license, marriage certificates, social security cards, grade reports, shot records, medical records, etc. You have all this valuable information. You make copies, put in an envelope, put it with the book, the CPS book. The book, well, it's actually your book. So you want to put it in that book there. Wow, it must be really early for most people because I don't see anybody here. I told them last night it was 8 o'clock. I don't know if everybody forgot. Get so used to one time, then there's another time. So you put all those documents into the folder because you're going to need it, and you need it with your notebook. So you got to make it. And you can make copies. Nothing wrong with making copies. The original is only on demand, and so don't worry about the original. Just make copies of everything. So those are my 5 rules. So I've talked about 4 ways to interact with the podcast. I've talked about my 5 rules. And that leads me now less than the halfway mark. We have about 34 minutes left of the podcast. What would you guys like me to talk about? Now, I could do Core Digest, which is a lot of fun and stuff. It's where they're asked questions and then someone sticks it out and answered it, but you all can answer your own question. Let me get my phone and see that Core Digest here. Okay. Go to my email. Wow. I was trying to get the Corey here. We'll get here in a second. Here we go. Now, Quora is an application that people write in questions and does answers. And I have mine specifically set to the CPS. Okay, here's a question on the Quarters Digest, and I will open it up more. Has someone ever unjustified reporting you to Child Protection Services? What was the outcome? Well, in my case, yes. It was terrible. I lost my home and I lost anything there. Now, Annie answers the question. Yes, to cut a very long Jeremy Kyle family drama short, my mom did not like my boyfriend. My sister did, a bit too much. She hit on him. He rejected her, and in her outrage, she told mom that he molested her. Mom gave me the choice between dumping him and going down with him. And since I knew for a fact that her claim was untrue, I sided with my partner. As such, we were both accused of arrested for investigating for sexual assault. This didn't go very far, as often the case with false assault claims. My sister had no evidence. Her statement kept changing while ours was cohesive. The case was dismissed with no further action. We never went to court or anything like that. When this happened, Mom went a bit nuts, starting campaigns against the local police for being corrupt. Doxins online, calling for everything up to, including the murder of my then 2-year-old son, and reporting to police for everything, with a gun to making child porn of my 2-year-old to shooting up with heroin. All of this unfounded, of course, but all needs to be investigated, of course, because this involves child abuse allegations. In came social services. I'm not going to lie, it was a horrible experience. When something like that happens, they'll drag through every single detail of your life with a fine-tooth comb. They'll accuse you of absolutely everything. They make doubt your own sanity. I had social service involved in my life for the next 2 years, and during that time, I was told I should call an ambulance over a bad dream. I almost forced to sell my spinning wheel because, according to Sleeping Beauty, they're dangerous. I was forced to stop volunteering at the crèche where my son attended because there was a soup kitchen upstairs and just anyone could walk in. AKA, it's a public place. Literally, I wasn't allowed to have my kid in a public place. However, those are 3 standout incidents in 2 years. Most social workers are just average people. They're well meaning, they're not out to get you. Some are really freaky dumb sometimes, and some are just scared of accidentally getting attached to the next baby P case, so they're overcautious. Some will be hard on you because they have they're no smoke without fire attitude. And others are suffering work related PTSD and take it all on you without realizing it. But all of them have the same goal: do what's best for your kid. At the end of the day, they stuck around so long because my mom was an active threat to my child, and my mental health was terrible because of my mom's attack on us. When I moved to another town far away from my mother influence, it became clear that my mental health was rapidly improving. They disengaged without any problems. They stuck around for valid reasons and they didn't stay longer than they were needed. The system is messed up, and humans are humans. The whole experience still gives me nightmares. But ultimately, it's the doing of the person who reported me, not CPS himself. Whatever you're going through, it'll pass. Nothing lasts forever. Well, that was an interesting answer to that question. That was answered. Let's see what else I can find here in Court Digest here. Okay. All right, here's an interesting question. Can I is 18, adopt my sister who's 15? My sister is in the foster care system and is currently in a different state with some distant relatives. She is initially from here, and I want her to be near the rest of her family. Am I able to legally adopt her? Oh, this is an answer by Caroline. All right, now Carolyn Connor answered the question. You don't need to adopt her, but as an 18-year-old now, legal adult, I assume you were 18 when she was placed in a foster care system. You can petition for custody or guardianship. It would help for you to take foster licensing classes and also to be able to show that you can properly provide shelter, food, and clothing and other necessity care for her. This will be a foster care stipend, but it's generally not a lot of money, not nearly what it would cost to support her. The real question is why was she placed with a distant relative in a different state and not with any relatives near you in her home state? You would have to show that it's in her interest to be placed in your home and removed from the place where she currently is safe and shelter. Best of luck to you and your sister. Well, that was an interesting comment there. All right. Okay, this one here is a question. I want to argue. Hello, Pam Forrester. Welcome. I didn't see you come into the room. For some odd reason, this came into my feed. I'm old enough, sadly, to remember that Mr. Martin's nightmare. Wow, wow. Well, welcome, Pam. I have no idea where you're from. All you need to do is list your city or county and your state, or you're from another country, you can list me that too. But welcome, and if you have a question about CPS, I'm reading from the Corps Digest about CPS questions. Now, this other one here is I want to argue police officers should arrest both criminal and CPS defense attorneys for defending criminals. If they commit the same crime again, or they abuse or neglect a child again, why are these fools not responsible? Now, Karine, a former senior welfare examiner, 35 years experience, is answering this question. Let me tell you a true story from many years back. A woman who lost her kids because CPS, she was in as an unfit mother, went to court and petitioned the judge to get them back. Now, the CPS worker told the judge the woman was wildly unstable, mentally dangerous. In fact, she had psychiatrist reports. The family court judge said she needs to bond with her babies and order the kids returned. The CPS worker actually begged him on her knees to reconsider. Nope, the kids were going to go back to the mom. The night the mom picked them up, she celebrated. She murdered all four, starting with a 10-year-old because he could run the fastest. She used the 7-month-old's arm as her paintbrush and decorated every floor, wall, ceiling with her blood before she finished dismembering the children. Then she called an ambulance because my children aren't moving. I know this because I was working in the hospital record room at the time, and then there were 4 people with the oldest boy's name. All had, for identification purposes, was the torso at the moment. So who did the press blame for the murder mom getting her hands on the kids? The judge who gave them back. Oh, hell no. They blamed the poor CPS worker who tried to keep them safe. The poor woman had a nervous breakdown. Don't blame the CPS worker. They don't have the final say. Blame the family court judge who gives children back to abusers. And 2 years after that, they locked that nut away. She tried to sue CPS because they gave the kids back, knowing she was unstable. A new judge, he bounced that out of court so hard, I don't think it came down yet. As far as I know, that woman's still locked up in a home for criminal insane. That is a horrible, horrible story. Jeez. I didn't mean to read that one there. Do you want to say anything more, Pam? You're in my room. You can call me and ask a question. It's 626 698 0990. And I'd love to talk to you about your case. We're kind of slow this morning. At 9:30, Vincent Davis is going to, Vincent Davis is going to talk questions, answers at 9:30 on a live podcast. At the end of my podcast, there'll be a brief message about that. Well, let's see if we can find something better to talk about. Okay, here's another question. What are some valid reasons for suing child protection services? Now, Joanne has answered this question. She's a business owner, and so she says there are many valid reasons. They commit fraud and perjury every single day. There should be millions of class action lawsuits against this insane institution that sends out highly unqualified people to determine the fitness of parents. These people destroy human beings, and they should all be in jail. Only 14% of the children apprehended by CPS are actually in need of emergency intervention. Hundreds of thousands of the children. Hundreds and thousands of children pass away in the care of CPS all over North America every single year. These workers are well as the foster parents are not even required to have an infant child CPR certificate. Wow. You would think they'd have to have that. Okay, here's one that comes up a lot. This is a question. What is the appropriate response when police ask to enter your house? Well, Anna Hughes answers this. She's a jailhouse lawyer. The appropriate answer is yes, you may come in provided you have a warrant. If they respond by saying they can easily get one, just ask why they neglect to do so. I love that answer, neglect to do so. If they do say they just want to talk to you, speak through the door unless you're suspected of a crime, and then, well, tell them you don't wish to speak to them and wish them a good evening. There isn't one good thing that can result from allowing law enforcement in your home in the absence of a warrant. If they truly believe a crime has been committed and evidence such might be found in your house, okay, and I believe you or someone else within the dwelling to have committed the crime, they wouldn't risk having whatever they might learn or whatever evidence they might find being excluded because they had no warrant. If they ask for consent to come in, they're likely to be looking for things that up to a probable cause to justify a judge sign a warrant. Bottom line is, no warrant means they have no probable cause. Don't assist them to get it in. Remember, proper cause is the requirement, not definition. Remember, the police are not your friend. You know, that is really good answer there. That was really a good answer. Okay, here's a question. Has anyone ever sued CPS and succeeded? Especially in Spokane, Washington. They're very corrupt here, I notice. Now, Jennifer is going to answer it. She's a digger jeans from France. No, but when my ex offered to babysit my son so I could attend a function with my friends and then abandoned my son in a Winnebago, I dealt with them. The woman I dealt with was power tripping, even though my ex husband explained I would never gone out if I knew my son would be left like that. So my mother hired an attorney. When she told me assortment of rules about how she should speak to her, I was So my mother hired an attorney. When she told me assortment of rules about how I should speak to her, I was furious. My son was crying and wanted to come home to me. In some foster home where I fear he'd be raped or anything. The attorney contacted the social worker and explained the next time she visited me, he expected to be notified so he could be there and represent my interests. When she got authorization, when she got authorization rude. The social worker informed him there'd be no more need for visits, and suddenly my son was going to be released to me because she couldn't do her job if she's monitored by an attorney. The next day, I got my son back. I've been trying for 3 weeks with her. So I know that there was a purpose for abused children and children who were truly abandoned by the parent, but I couldn't help but think they weren't there for the interests of children, but empowerment for some pretty damn weak egos after the way they handle my son. I feel for parents forced to deal with them. It makes you stronger, though, because you learn a whole new level of restraint to help your kids. I have about 9 minutes left. Again, I repeat my cell number, 626-698-0990. You can call in and talk live on the show. I want to thank Sydney, a viewer, for the thumbs up. That was nice to have you visit the room. And I'm happy to see Pam Forrester here, but I don't know where she's from or what her CPS case is. You know, some people ask me, what was my case like? My case was terrible. I was investigated by CPS for 5 years because lay people kept making the comments. It was my in-laws. I did not know that they were making the comments. And they were constantly come out to meet with me or talk with me. I didn't know that much about CPS. I allowed that. And I had nothing to hide, nothing to show or anything there. And so I had food and the kids were, bedrooms were nice and organized and everything else. Well, they got tired of my in-laws constantly complaining. And so they hired a detective who found my pattern. And so I usually pick up my son. He's the youngest, so he gets picked up first. But now my next show will be on at 7 p.m. tonight. That's Pacific Standard Time. At 9:30 this morning, Pacific Standard Time, Vincent will have questions and answers. When you hear his message, please write down and join the school and register for the podcast. It's live from him, and it really will help you. So I really encourage you to do so. So my time is up. It's almost 9 o'clock, and I don't want to go much further because I want to make sure Vincent Davis has his people attending his podcast. So I want to tell you, God bless and thank you. It was nice to meet you, Pam, and I hope I'll see you again tonight. And I'd like to see you come back. So don't give up on your children. Keep fighting for them. And this is Bob Pace signing off.
Feeling lost in the maze of CPS? Desperate to get your child back? You're not alone. Countless parents face the heart-wrenching reality of family separation. The legal system can be overwhelming, but there's hope.
Now, here's the key. Okay, that's how you win a 6-month hearing.
Thank you.
If you do all of those things, you're going to blow your social worker's mind, you're going to blow your attorney's mind, and you're going to blow away the judge.
With attorney Vincent W. Davis, a dedicated legal expert with 39 years of experience, committed to helping families like yours. Join his weekly live Q&A on Zoom, where you can ask your burning questions about CPS cases. Get the knowledge and strategies you need to fight for your child's return.
Alrighty, good evening everyone. This is a question and answer session for school, SKOOL, and this is the CPS school.
Are you ready to take control of your family's future? Join our school community for free to access weekly live Q&A sessions, or participate as a one-time guest. Don't let fear hold you back. Take the first step towards reuniting your family. Join us now.